Chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays offside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Ben Sills.
Hello, welcome to the latest episode of the Gull'S View. I'm joined by Tom, Clive, and Chris. It's been a difficult week on the road for the Yellows, hasn't it? Even though, because I go, of course, at least we got something out of last night's game. But we're gonna go through the two games. It's gonna be quite brutally honest, I'm afraid, as you'd expect. But yeah, I was gonna say as well before we start, thank you for all the lovely comments and things I've received personally over the last and talking in general actually over the last day since the release of the documentary. It's been a mad week in my life. But I won't say anymore. I won't say anymore. So I've absolutely loved it. So thank you. And all the people I spoke to at Western last night. Cool. Done. That's the bit I had to get in. Anyway, the important stuff now. Oh, lads. Let's just start at Chelmsford. Oh no. Like how do we even do that? Right.
Can
We've
we
had to
just
have a
can we
bit
just
of
skip it?
yeah, like honestly, can we just not talk this week about Torquay, really? Right, so we've had a bit of a group vote. Tom, you're getting the first half. You get the nice stuff. Clive, you get the second half, right? Tom, take us through the first half.
Right. Well, we started pretty well. I, I thought Chelmsford, considering their history in this division the last couple of years, I thought they were very, very second best pretty much in that first half. I thought we started really well, considering the news that Dreyer, although had his suspension overturned, was ill, which most Torquay United thing ever, but we move on. Um, yeah, we staked our claim early on. I thought their goalkeeper was very, very suspect. Didn't instill a lot of confidence in the Chelmsford defence, and gave us the opening goal, taking down Cody in the box. It's a clear penalty, and Cody slots it home. Does very well, and then we're in control, and then Matt J with an absolute wonder 45-yard lob goal. Fantastic, fantastic vision. And I think the build up to that goal was great as well, 'cause we won the ball back. Jay got it, looked up, and slotted it over the keeper. And 2-0, it's just perfect, absolutely perfect. A ground that we've not won at yet, or still have one yet. Um, and yeah, we were in complete control of that. And going in, in a minute when Clive gets on, yeah, you never would have thought we were going to lose that game. We were bossing it. I don't think Chelmsford were bad per se, but I just think we managed to set the tone early on when we got the two goals with controlling the game, and then the second half happened. Clive.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I suppose I should start on the positive, really. Shout out to the taxi driver on the way back. Nice big six-seater taxi. Out of the goodness of his heart, he allowed another couple of people to get in, and then we played "Children" very loud all the way back to the station, and it lifted the mood somewhat, which was necessary after we chucked away a two-goal lead and walked out of Chelmsford with a square root of sod all. The second half started fine, really. Thomas gave away a penalty, didn't he? Maybe
I
10,
didn't.
15 minutes in. And then we lost our two best players. Young and Matt J both went off. Young hasn't got 90 minutes in him. Whether Jay was struggling a bit for fitness still, I don't know. He did play most of the game last night. And the Chelmsford manager, I thought, nailed it. I don't know why we do this to ourselves, but I watched his interview on the Sunday morning, and he said that like as soon as we took those two players off, they smelt blood, and you could tell really. And so we just ended up defending deeper and deeper and deeper. And I didn't feel as though it was necessarily coming, but Greenwich, the big centre forward, got on the end of one with about 5 minutes to go. And then, of course, not content with that, we then failed to concede a dubiously given corner. And we let in a really soft goal. There's loads of extenuating circumstances. The defence that we had to put out was, three men short of what you'd have liked it to be. It was a real kick in the teeth to lose Dreyer after all the palaver trying to get his suspension overturned. But It was a sapping 45 minutes. I think it was extremely disappointing, and I'll keep it as diplomatic as that.
Yeah, it's just at one point when we were 2-0 up, it was just such a long way to go this season and so many like twists and turns. But when you're 2-0 up, you're looking at Dawkins' result, you're looking going, here we are. And then 10 minutes later, you're looking going, well, if we lose on Tuesday, we're out of the playoffs temporarily. If so, it's it's nuts. I think what really disappointed me was I kind of just hoped this season we would be a little bit stronger from that side of the game a little bit. I feel there's more than enough there, experience there, and leaders. I'd hope to get through that. Torquay have always been for a long time now a soft touch, where you just knew that we're going to throw away the wins. We knew we'd turn up and we lose 1-0 away. I was hoping that Rome wasn't built in a day, of course, but a team that for the first half of the season had got into top of the league before we signed Matt J, player visibility as well. That we got through a lot of those sort of mental battles well in the season when we hadn't actually played that well. And I also just wish we blitz teams a little bit more. At 2-0, you're feeling really comfortable. So I was really, really just surprised. And the goals are so stupid. Again,
Yeah.
you just want. I've been used to, I just want things to be commanded well in that penalty box. I want to see. I want to just, I can't believe it's like going back to a year ago, isn't it? It was a year ago in administration and that, but these are the sort of goals and results. You're like, oh, come on. It's just, I just can't believe it, really. I think my problem is, well, I suppose I can bring more of this up last night because I was at the Western game, but I'll link it a little bit. We had, two shots on target last night, and that was both within the goal. It was a shot that was spilled, saved, whatever you want to call it. And that is my biggest fault. There's there's a lot of talent for this division in this Torquay team, and there's always this rubbish in football now. You got to play the right style of football. You got to do this, got to do that. Everyone wants a bit. Yeah, I get that. But I just want to see football that gives us the best chance of winning the team we have. And even though at times it's really worked, I just want to see maybe not so much Chelsea because we scored 2 goals away from home, and that should be enough, really. But more to the last night's game, we'll link it in. Quite a few games I've seen this season that I want to see a keeper be worked. I don't care whether you're putting 40 long balls into the box and you're getting flick-ons and that scores in chances. I don't care if you're passing it through. I don't care if you're having shots from 40, 50 yards where Matt J's was. That's working the keeper. That keeper, Chelmsford you talked about, well, the keeper last night, Weston, very good things, but it wasn't convinced on that goal. Just test the keepers. I know we did it against Hampton, we didn't score, but we didn't put loads in the corner either. The keeper had a great game, but I want to see this a few more ways where I'm excited, and I know because that's how you win a title and promotion. You score goals. I know it sounds obvious, but
Yeah.
I just feel a little bit flat at times. I look at the talent we've got, and I'm like, something's not quite there. We're moving to the Western game a little bit because we're going to link into the first half. Me and Chris will take that, I guess, on balance. But they just look shattered of any sort of confidence, and that's a worry. I'm really into the mindset of football a lot. I think it wins you so many games, and it just looked just absolutely no confidence, and that's really worrying.
I just don't understand why we changed shifts in the second half. It was all about getting the next goal. If we get the third goal, game's done. We're going to take 3 points, or we're not going to lose the game. And it wasn't a case that we didn't have chances. I mean, we did have chances at Chelmsford. They didn't really test us that much. Even when they got it to 2-1, Hammond didn't really have, in recollection, that much to do, to be honest. It's just our lack. We're not clinical enough in front of goal. And you can argue the decisions. I thought the penalty at the time was soft, but I look back on it and actually it was a penalty. So fair play, fair cop. And the equaliser comes from, there was a challenge down our end on Morgan, wasn't it? And it was almost akin to a Six Nations rugby tackle. It was how the referee's not given a foul on that. And then from that, they've gone down the other end. They had a free kick and they've managed to score from it. And then, like Clive said, that it was never a corner. But you've got to defend. You've got to do better in that moment. You've got to do better, especially if you are going for promotion in this division. And I'm sorry, but we have pissed away 3 points there. No question in my mind.
I I take that, and I wasn't there, so I'm only going by the video. Clive and I were discussing this last night, but actually, I'm a little bit, and like I said, I wasn't there, so I'm only going by the highlights and the actual goals themselves. But I think that you've got to defend it, you've got to defend your box, it's poor and all that. I get all of that, but if you look at that third goal, there's a clear foul in there. We lose the first contact beyond the back post, fine, but Palmer has read it, is in position to head the thing away, and he's doing that and just gets barged in the back. It's not subtle, it's not 50-50, it's two hands in the back. So that irks all of the, you got to defend, you got to defend better than that. And, the second goal, sure. But the third goal, I mean, that from a corner that should never have been a corner because the bloke headed it against the post and out. It's just, it's a small detail, isn't it? Which in a lot of games hasn't gone our way, but I mean, it is a clear foul. I mean, it's not debatable for me. It's a clear foul.
Yeah, no,
and you can say you can't blame referees and all the rest of it.
We've still chucked away a 2-goal lead. We had that game.
But we
should have got a third goal.
Yeah,
none of what happened in the last 10 minutes should have mattered because we should have been out of sight and we didn't have that instinct.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But we should have got a point, and it would have meant I would have got 5 points in the prediction league as well. Just saying.
Oh, the prediction league, which we wouldn't have seen from Western Supermares because I accidentally cut it last week. You predicted 2-2, Chris. There's your shot for it. But into Western then. I mean, you just absolutely gutted, aren't you, after that result? And you're like, crikey. Obviously, we all went up there with a nice trip up. I just couldn't believe what I watched in the first half, to be honest. Like, we responded, we after the puff, then we got the right point actually in the context, of course. But I don't understand how we got to that point where this Torquay team, which I really look up to, and there's not a lack of trying at all. I think with the managerial team, I have so much like time for the whole everything about a football club, but it's just like I just understand where that first half performance came from. Just like really good footballers at this division, just not controlling footballs and just looking like shell shocked a bit, probably still from the result. And it's about how quickly you turn things around in football. And it was just appalling. And we talk about soft goals, but I mean, no, I could say half of it when I was in the first half, but it's awful. That's just like not a goal I've come used to watching this season. What's going on in those sort of situations? Not now. And if we're in a situation we get into the playoffs and we finish not 6th or 7th, we're going to have to go away to a Western Supermare and win it. And if we're giving them opportunities like that and starting like that in the first half away from home, we're dead and buried. And all that matters this season is promotion. I don't care how we do it. All that matters is promotion. You've got to be ambitious. We're top of the league at Christmas, So all that matters, I don't care how we do it. But my worry is that I like to see a team that's at the best of their ability. We're getting the most out of it. And I just don't I'm quite alarmed by some of the things I've seen at times over the last couple of months. But let's talk a bit about Chris, talk about the first half last night. If you had to put your finger on the whole objective thing, what really was wrong for you?
I think credit to Western. I thought, as they played more, they played well. They moved the ball well. The issue, I think, last night, I think for the players we've got, I get why he went back to 3 at the back in recent games because of player availability and certainly with Fulton being injured and Carson probably being better in a wing-back position than a full-back position. I think it's made sense. But I think with the players we've got, you look at that game beforehand, the selection, Dyer's back to 4-2-3-1, Musa back in the start 11 with Jay and Young, and you look at that and there's quality and abundance further forward. So I think Western played well, but the issue was the midfield in the first half. They were just flooding through the midfield. They had their 2 main central midfield players and they were just getting through it. And again, it's hard to work out because, of course, in that formation, you have Hayfield and Throkeld who were just sitting in front. So I think that was the issue. I think Pearson, who enjoyed some lively banter, not so much, he moved very well with the ball. He got them up the pitch well in the first half. And, if he'd have shot a bit earlier a couple of times, then I think, we could have been in trouble. So the goal was disappointing. It's a bit unlucky in that it hits the bar, drops back down, hits Throkeld on the leg and goes in. But they put several dangerous balls in which we hadn't dealt with. Could Heyman come and wipe it out? I don't think so, having seen it. But I don't think he dominates his box that well. And I just think, and it's the perennial question that we've said a lot, isn't it, that about this team in terms of there's so much quality in that front third, and we didn't retain the ball. It transitioned all the time, lost the ball. They were coming through us. So it just against a decent opposition. I just thought that we had a good first 10 minutes, didn't we? We didn't score. And then after that, they just kind of got into us really. So I think the second half had to be better. Obviously, getting a goal within 10 minutes helps, doesn't it? But I mean, it's not like we got a goal and we were pushing on. We thought, oh, we're going to, the new signing came on up front who looked lively, and we equalised. But it wasn't like we were kind of flooding through and flooding. And we're going to get another one here. It might have dropped our way, but they had a lot of the possession. We gave away some silly fouls. They had a couple of free kicks and stuff. So, but I'd also say it's also akin to our away record. We struggle to win games. If you look at our away record against the top sides, drawn at Maidstone, lost at Maidstone, drawn at Eastbourne, drawn at Worthing, drawn at Weston, drawn at Boreham. They're all tight games. We're not scoring goals away from home. We're not winning. We haven't won a big game away yet. So it kind of followed that trend. Would I take the point before the game? Probably I would, yeah. But as we discussed last night a fair bit, that's on the proviso that we then win at home on Saturday, and we're just putting far too much pressure on our home form because you're not going to win every game. As soon as you draw a couple of games or lose the odd one, this is what happened against Hampton, you go backwards quite quickly if you're not winning games away.
I agree. It's gone now, but like that win at Chelmsford would have just changed the whole outlook right now. It would have been another win, which carried on in good form. It would have been a first away win, so that we probably have gone on to Weston-super-Mare. I don't think we would have given that first half performance at Weston-super-Mare if we had won at Chelmsford, to be honest. I don't like to say or suggest that our players let it affect them, but I just feel like it would have been a different story. You have to move forward now and keep going. But you're right, there's a lot of pressure now. I know you say it, it's just another game and all that, but you're right. If we want to get to the top half of the playoffs, then we're going to have to, our home form's going to have to be ridiculous. And we want to win the league still, then our home form's got to be ridiculous and we've got to start winning away. So, because all of a sudden,
the league,
it will separate out. It will just separate out though. It always goes like that. It always looks close for a while where you're relegation battle or promotion. All of a sudden, you will have to win your last 5 or 6 games to keep in touch. That's just how it goes.
But if you look at that league table again, Swanee, don't you? You look at after Saturday and then again after last night, and you think after Saturday, you're like, there's no way we're going to win the league. There's no way we're going to do it with our away form. And I think that's probably still how you would feel. But if you look at it, win our game in hand, win at Dorking, we're joint top. So why can't we?
Yeah.
Still can win the league.
Yeah.
But
it's
again,
still there.
We've got to create more. We've got to work.
Like Paul said after the game, it's still exciting. It's still there for everyone. Can our away form go 4 away wins on the spin from nowhere?
But that's what makes it
don't feel like it, is it?
That's what makes it so bleeding frustrating, though. Like we've cost ourselves so many points this season. I mean, all fans will say it, but I just couldn't believe how lackluster we were, and I think we were very fortunate that Musa wasn't sent off in the first half either. I thought it was a really, really bad challenge for him. It's late, his studs are up, it's low, it's not like high studs, but its studs are still there, and I think he was very, very fortunate to stay on the pitch. And had he been sent off, then
what was it because he was so early, Tom?
At all. It wouldn't have made any difference at all. They did. Musa, for all that I love the guy, had an absolute shocker, didn't he, last night?
Oh,
I thought he was dreadful. Can I just make a couple of quick points from last night? I think that was the first time that there were boos at half-time last night. There were obviously a lot of fans there last night. And it wasn't a massive, when they talk about teams being booed off, it wasn't like a prolonged boo, get out of it, you rubbish, nothing like that.
One like last year at Weston-super-Mare, no.
Well, quite. Not that I was there, to be fair. But the kind of, the instant reaction when the halftime whistle went from quite a lot of people was boo. And that was, that's what we heard. And that is what that first half performance deserved, I'm afraid. But there's a bit of a wider thing going on here. I do agree that particularly for the attacking talent in the team, we probably should be getting better results at the minute. And it's frustrating for everybody, particularly the magnificent way that, South Devon and, the wider Torquay public have got behind this side this year, massive home attendances, I don't know when the last time we averaged 3,500 was. I mean, it probably wasn't since the 90s.
I can't remember in the Football League days. Can you, Clive?
No. In all honesty,
I don't remember that high in League One.
But the trouble with this is that I think people believe that because there's big crowds coming in and they're selling a lot of shirts, that there's loads and loads of money to spend on the team. Right?
Gators wins, yeah.
Now there's a team in this division who regularly struggle to attract more than 700 or 800 fans to their ground. We're playing them on Saturday. Their playing budget, so we're led to believe, is not a million miles off double what Paul Watton's got to spend this season. And Torquay United Football Club is not turning a profit at the moment and will, for certain, make a loss this season. There's a lot of money that's been having to spend or be spent on off the pitch stuff, including sort of making investments to improve revenue. So the money that's been spent at Boots and Laces, it's all about increasing those revenue streams. But where we are today is that we don't have one of the top two playing budgets in the league. I think that was bandied about in the summer. It's not right. And the club obviously is they're attempting to run it sustainably. What that means is that we're not able to splash lots of money on players. So I feel it as much as everybody else does. It is right, because you really ought to have the football team that you can afford rather than the one that you really want.
100%.
That's kind of the wider context. I mean, I still am spitting feathers about both those performances, but the wider context is that we're not in a position, as some people think, as lots of Chelmsford fans think, we're not in a position to buy the league.
No, and I'm really glad you brought it up, because I felt that way a little bit on Saturday, actually. Because again, as frustrated as I am with how I always like to get the most of what we've got right now, and I feel, as I say, especially last year performance, we're not. But you're right, and I found sometimes the frustration fight, but the over criticism a bit confusing in a way, because well, hang on a minute. I was thought of giving another example of a football club. So Oldham, remember their chairman, brilliant bloke.
Oh yeah,
bloke. Remember come down the bike
good example
2 years ago. The dream chairman for a football club like we've got, where they haven't progressed on the pitch just because you've got everything right in certain ways. Don't get everything right, but just because you're really getting that culture, it really helps. It really helps build the business properly. But football is still there to be won on the pitch. And it doesn't guarantee it. And I feel like you're right, Clive, in a sense we maybe, as amazing as this journey has been, we still have to be realistic to where we are in the league and go from there. I'm still frustrated, but how things are going a little bit on the pitch. But it's a really good point. I
think, Clive, that's a really good time to raise that. Yeah, that's a really good time. That's a really good time to raise that, because actually, if you look at it, I mean, like Zanzala coming in last night. I was fortunate to have a chat with Paul before the game, and he said, he wants to be here. He's
look of him.
He's put a lot of effort in to get here for the game last night. He wants to be here. He wants to be successful. He wants the club to be successful. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So it's even things like that. I mean, that's a good signing. It's like Paul said after the game. He's got oodles of. For some random reason, I saw his debut for Exeter, and in that game he was big, strong, mobile, scored in that game. So he looks like a good addition. I do like looking. And we ain't going to be paying him mega bucks, because he's out. He hasn't got a club. He's like any of us who are unemployed. You take what you can get, and I think it's a good signing, and I think you need to be sensible with that. And unfortunately, with what followed last night, he may become even more important, because Cody didn't look in a good way come the end of the game when he took a
really
smack in the face.
Western flashbacks. I don't obviously enjoy it be as bad as what Jar.
Yeah, the Aaron Jar. I said that to my dad.
I was stood in exactly the same place we were that last year, Chris. It was exactly the same feeling. Western away. Our star striker has been walked off with a bad injury. Again, Jarvis was out for 3 or 4 months, and that season ended there. But it was really I just felt it felt.
I think really they're always worrying as well, because he couldn't walk unaided, could he? He kind of stood up, and the physio kind of put his hand either side, which they do, and then ask you to focus away from him, and he couldn't do it. He couldn't stand up. He was kind of he swayed as soon as he tried to. Given the amount of blood, maybe not. It was just a shock of certainly a busted nose, you would have thought, but where it concussion. you absolutely must obey the protocols for his own safety, but it couldn't be at a worse time because 14 days sometimes is one, possibly two games. Now it'd be four.
Yeah.
Three of which are away, I think.
If
Two of
we
which
could
are
still
away.
play football though. We could still play football without Cook as much as I love
Yeah.
Cook.
So Zanzala could be his waking goal, couldn't he?
And let's
now?
also not sort of match A, 2 goals, 2 games. I know there's still like parts of his game that he's giving away the ball a bit at times and not quite others, but the quality he's got, excuse me, as incredible as the finishes on Saturday.
Yeah, he was alert last night as well.
That's the difference between.
Yeah,
it looks he's just a tap in. Yeah, but he knows exactly where to be in a penalty area.
Yeah.
That is the difference between a couple divisions above as a player up
And
here.
And that's what we're hoping for now, isn't it? Because he started, couldn't play a full 90 minutes, trying to ease his way, get minutes, and then hopefully now he'll start to kick on and be a real key part for the final 12. I think from my perspective on things, and I said this after full time at Chelmsford, how much do you want it, lads? The title's there, promotion's there. Yes, it was a very bad second half at Chelmsford. But to quote Martin Ling, the answers are in the building.
The answers are in the building. There's enough in that squad to win promotion one way or another by a mile, in my opinion. I know that there's some very good squads in this league, in this context, this division, but there's still enough by a mile for me.
It's the question marks, isn't it, on the away games? Like Chris said last week, can we go to Chelmsford? Can we go to Chelmsford?
Chances. That's what it is.
Can we go to Western and win? No, we haven't been able to do it. And you look at the league table. I think we have lost the least amount of games in this division, but I believe that we have drawn the second most in this division. Joint second.
Stats. Yeah,
I think double check that. But that's
we better get good penalties then for the playoffs if that's the case.
Well, but it's like I said last week, and you would say it again. We haven't won for 3 months away from home, but yet we're sixth in the league. So to push that on, if our home form, and actually we've got some very winnable games on paper. Saturday's tough, but if you look at the league positions, there's some games coming up that are very winnable. But then you think to yourself, if we can just pick up a couple, if we can go to Chippenham and pick up 3 points, then go to Dorking, and a point's probably a decent result. But when you continually, if you look at our record against the top six, Maidstone apart is good. But then you look the draw at Slough, the draw at St Albans, and they become the costly result because if you're drawing to the teams, Weymouth, you draw you're drawing with the teams around you, you're winning your home games, and you're slapping the teams who are mid lower table. You're in business, but that's what's probably hurting us because their record against the top 6 or 7 is all right. It's good.
Yeah, well, Weymouth
with no wins.
Yeah, the thing is that before we go to Kelly's corner, is that if the season doesn't end in promotion, you will look back at maybe that Weymouth game and games like that where you go at Chelmsford, where it's just they're really avoidable and silly, and those wins have just made a difference. But every football team, any season can look back. But yeah, if we have to be analytical, but I think that's covered it well. And Clive, I'm really glad you brought that up because I was a little bit, well, hang on a minute. It's not as angry as we are, and we all regulate our emotions in different ways through football. Let's not be really, really silly about all of this. There's no point getting really too deep into the sort of criticism of like the longer term. Like I would say this right now, it's short-term frustrations, but long term, it's still so much to look forward to.
But it's frustration because these players can do. Do I think the squad's good enough to get promoted? Yeah, I do. I absolutely do. But so that kind of frustration, and if we don't go up, you're gonna look at it and go, we could have had it.
That's the thing now. At the start of the season, we all say, playoffs and that. But like now, it's like, especially because you're top at Christmas and the talent was like, we could have had it. It would have been a missed opportunity. All it takes is a team next season, come down and be absolutely nail it. Or a team that don't go up this year, like a Wyvern or Dorking, and there'll be a little bit, not be too down about it, there'll be more pressure next season. I think it will be more pressure. We would have to do it. I think next year it would be like right now, titles away, and sometimes I always feel like the first opportunity is like the best opportunity. Just go and take it. If you think, long term, it's like with the Gary Johnson season at Ashton Gate. Next season we could still do it actually, and then next thing 5 key players left, and even though we end up finishing up 9th and we still had a lot of talent the next season, it was that was that gone, wasn't it? So I'm always like,
and just looking as well, just thoughts on while she said that, looking at the teams that might be coming down, I've not really thought about it. Were we to stay in that league, Ebbsfleet are coming straight back again, which is kind of
they destroy
perennial up and downers, aren't they? But they've
Yeah, they
conceded
destroyed the
73
league
goals
last time.
in
Yeah.
34 games. But you look at them, they'd be a tough. Maidenhead could come down, and they've been good at that level. Dagenham could come down. They're only 2 points
Aldershot.
outside the zone.
Aldershot.
Aldershot,
Oh,
Wealdstone,
no, not a
Braintree
promotion
would be
battle
in
of
our
Aldershot.
league.
Oh, God.
So
Take me
there's a
back
lot
to
of teams. So
2007.
It would get no easier if we remain
This
in
is the
this league.
thing
But
I'm thinking. I'm looking at those teams and going,
yeah, you're
oh,
right.
crikey. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, and look at those teams like Ebbsfleet who absolutely destroyed the league last year. Look how
Yep.
useless they've been. I don't know enough about the situation to know whether they've kept the same players or just haven't got it right.
No, absolutely lost a
But
lot of players, didn't they? They lost a lot of
yeah,
players when
fair enough.
they a couple went into the football league and stuff. But yeah, but I mean, they haven't had a poor season. They've got 14 points.
Mad.
Shocking,
Right,
isn't it?
Kelly, it's your corner. Are you
It's
ready?
my corner. Lovely. So once again, thanks to everyone who responded this week. There's quite a lot to go through. So we've asked you, what have I asked you? Based on our last 12 games in the season, what is your realistic finishing position for the Torquay United Football Club, and will our home form be enough to potentially win us the league? And a lot to go through. Thank you, everyone, once again. So Alan Wills, good evening, Alan, writes in and says, I think we finished fourth, comfortably in the playoffs, which I would have definitely taken at the start of the season and would be happy with now. I think it is too much to expect any squad which started with one player at the start of the season to win any league. Paul Mulhern says, I've had an in-depth look at the run-ins of all the contenders. Ours and Eastbourne's look the most generous. Truro is decent as well. Keep packing, playing more and believing. Also look at our record against the other top 7 contenders. It's good. Top 3 for the taking and the title is possible. And then there's quite a good bit of conversation in that as well. Dorking play 4 contenders back to back and have 5 of them to play. We still have 4 of the bottom 7 to play, and 2 of them are virtually gone already, 3 of which are at home. I know it's easy on paper, but I honestly think it's still all there to play for. And there was quite a few comments from Worthing fans, and I think a couple from Eastbourne in there as well. So have a look on there. Quite interesting on there. Mark Hurst says the second question first. Even if we win 6 out of 6 at home, we'd need at least 10 points away. There's little evidence to suggest that's realistic. So fourth is probably as good as we can hope for right now. Peter Timpson says we're going to finish third, and he highly doubts that our home form will be enough to get us promoted as champions. Lee Cross says playoffs is where we should be aiming for. The squad is good enough to put up a good challenge, but there's a lot of questions to be asked of the players and manager. Chris Braun says, I think the playoffs, but anything can happen. It is so tight. We need to get a couple of away wins. Everyone is dropping points. We need to get second or third. Robert Youssef says, we'll make the playoffs. The only question for him is whereabouts. Ollie says a third place finish, home form will be enough to make us believe we could win this league, but in the end we will come up short unless injuries don't come back as soon as we thought. Paul Hepworth says, I think we'll finish fourth. Our home form will be key, as is where we'll obviously pick up the majority of our points. He fancies Eastbourne to win it at the moment. Joe Ugg says between 4th and 7th. I think our recent form has shown that we will come up short and miss out on the top 3 spots, and crucially those 2 home semi-final places, which doesn't bode well for our hopes in the playoffs given our current away form. He would back us at home against anyone, but not away from home. Disco Barry says, I think we need to stay optimistic. New kid on the block to hopefully improve our attacking force. But the crucial thing is the old rear guard. Get Falston back on board and he gives us a stronger defence. Still aware of Hammond's reluctance to come out for crosses in a packed area. And there is George who says, one game at a time for me. There are too many teams who have had poor games. We are one of them. Running looks interesting. If we can beat Boreham Wood at home on Saturday, it's suddenly all to play for again. Second and third looks promising. That Chelmsford result, however, is a massive dagger for us. And there is a few on Facebook as well. And I think it's key to state while I quickly find that. Falston, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, will be back. And that will be a huge positive for us. I think if he was...
Dyer was solid last night, won everything.
Yeah. I think you put Falston back in that defence. I think we have a better chance of winning. But there we are. And there's just 4 on Facebook. Jonathan Bourne says, realistically, we will make the playoffs if we string together a run of form. We could get second or third. We aren't good enough to win this league and probably not good enough to go up via the playoffs. Probably a season too soon for this squad. Most of these players would struggle at the level above, in his opinion. Dave Morris says playoffs is a realistic hope, something we definitely would have taken at the start of the season.
Yeah,
I certainly
agree with that.
Yeah. Nick Potkin says, I still believe we can make the top 5, giving us a home game against the 7th place team. We really need to beat one of our playoff rivals in Boreham Wood, Dorking, Truro to achieve this. Keep believing. And finally, Martin Hodd says, between 4th and 7th is a realistic aim for us. Keep our better players in the summer, recruit well, and we'll be challenging for top spot from the off next season. And that is everyone on my corner. Thank you once again, and thank you all for the lovely comments yesterday at Weymouth at Western. It was nice to have some
speak to so
lovely.
many of you.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah,
Absolutely
it's lovely.
And
I
thanks
was
for your support.
severely on a lack of sleep, so I just felt like I just felt like my social cues weren't quite the usual like quick, but I love speaking to all of you. It was brilliant. Despite my quick wit brain wasn't quite there. Sorry for just. I'll rebuild at training this week there, and we go again on Saturday.
I think as well, how many wins from here, 12-game season, as Paul said after the game, how many wins get you winning the title now?
12.
8?
10.
That's what's that? 27 points. 9 wins is 27 points.
You've got to go on a proper run from here.
Yeah, you have to go on a run now.
Yeah.
It isn't just like quite a good run; it's a mega run.
Yeah,
it's one of those again. Like
2 or 3 teams will do that now. It won't look this tight at the end. There's no chance it looks this tight by the end of the season.
No.
Yeah.
6 home wins, 3 away wins, couple of draws. Done.
Easy. There you go, lads. We're going up. Right. Right.
Starting on Saturday against one of our rivals.
Yes, big game, which takes us to the last bit. Predictions, unless I accidentally edit this bit out. No, that was amazing timing though. So this is the clip, and then I just was like, oh my god, it's brilliant. Right, so I'm going 1-1 draw. I'm going 1-1 draw. Chris,
it's going to be tight. They score a lot of goals, but defensively we're quite solid. I think it's a game that we need to score first in. That's a ridiculously obvious statement, but the home games we've struggled at times. I think we will win, and I think we will win 2-1.
Clive.
I will say that not a goal is scored all season between Torquay and Boreham Wood. I fancy another 0-0.
Yeah, I do a bit as well, actually. I did think that afterwards. Yeah, I think you're going to be right.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I'm going to say 0-1 Boreham Wood. I think it's just got that. Sorry, I just think.
Don't invite him again.
Well, they're spending £1 million on their squad, aren't they? They've got every right to come to play more and win.
And they've got Nathan Ashmore in goal still, haven't they? He always has a bloody masterclass against us.
Never big crowd at Playmore, because let's be frank, they're only going to bring about 50, if that. So
10% of the home crowd.
There was more in our away end last night than there was for the total crowd at theirs. So.
But about the season and football pros, it's not all about your attendances, is it? As we were saying earlier.
That is true.
So fair play. They're running their club. It's so weird they even got into this position. They're another example of a football club. We talked about earlier, Aldershot and all that. So how do they even get relegated? It's mad, really. Bear in mind what.
All I'll say is we'll have a chance. Keep Musa on the bench. Bring him on. He's an impact sub.
Yeah, as much as I love him, it's just the way
you're watching Paul. That's my football.
He's a player to bring on.
Yeah,
it's really frustrating because you want to play with his talent and his influence.
To the converted there, Tommy.
It's just such a shame. It's just want to get more, obviously more of it, but and keep the ball on the floor in that way as well. Low crosses if you're going to do it. Just work the keeper, honestly. Like get Matt J shooting, chipping him as well. Go on then. Away. Obviously, the 3-0 at home was the only times we blew a team away at Playmore.
2-0 win.
1-0 win, Torquay.
I'm feeling optimistic. 2-0.
Well, I obviously can't tip Chippenham, can I? I think it might be time for a 2-1 away win.
Nice.
Swanee's probably going to cut this out anyway and forget about it, so I'll go 5-0 Chippenham. 2-1 Torquay.
Perfect. There we are. Right, thank you for watching everyone this week. Thanks for all the lovely comments and support as per usual. It generally is brilliant. So and we'll see you next week.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. If he stays onside, Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.